Hello, and welcome to Greet the Week. I am Mona Duncan, and I'm here today. We have here with me today my grandson, Weston, and he's on his way back to A&M College in spring. Came by the end of spring break with his Nana and Papa. Anyway, it's good to have all of you here. Today's topic is on goal setting, or what are goals, or what can goals do to you and for you, and what they can do in you. And so before we get into that, I want to do a little, I have a PowerPoint, but I want to do a little artwork here to kind of show you what we're looking at. We are looking at this is Dr. William Glasser with Reality Therapy, talks about the fact that we have a quality world. And as we can begin to look at that quality world, we can begin to see where goals fit in, or how they kind of come about, whether we are that reticent of it or not. But here is, okay, you hold that. Okay, this circle is the real world. And what that real world consists of is places, people, and things. And those things can be broken down into ideas and stuff. You know, we're always having ideas, and then we bring them into being. Everything is created twice, first in the mind and then in reality. But we have this real world that consists of places and people and things. And then we are born into this world. And as we come in and we begin to grow and age, we begin here. We have this little thing, and this is what we want. We become very selective. We look around and we say, oh, well, I want this and I want that. This is the job I want. This is the education I want. This is the mate I want. This is how many children I want. You know, all this kind of thing. It's what we want. But we also look around, because we are so selective, and we begin to look at what I don't want. I don't want this. And as you can see, they're all layered on top of each other, and they overlap. And a lot of times the things we don't want overlaps the things we do want, such as, you know, we may want this job, but I really don't want that aspect of it, or I'm not pleased with that aspect of it, or I really want and love and want this person in my life, that, oh, they had a little edge there to their personality that I don't want so much. And so sometimes where those overlap, we have a tendency to, well, go to war with it. And according to Dr. Glasser, somewhere we have in our mind a quality world. And I personally put it over here just about on the borderline of what we want and what we don't want. And the reason I put it there is because sometimes there are things that we want that we engage in, and it becomes habitual, and we later find out, I don't want that. But it is in our quality world because it had some kind of quality to us, or we would not have chosen it to start with. And we can look at that, whether it be a shopaholic, whether it be addictions of any kind, that at one time it was part of what we wanted, and it became part of our quality world. And once it's in there, we have to really begin to learn some things so that we can rearrange it and either take it out or just begin to look at things differently. Because the theory behind choice theory is that everything we do is a choice, and we don't often give ourselves credit for that. So I have a little self-evaluation questions that I'd like you to answer, and we'll do it on a matrix of 1 to 5. So with 1 being not very much, or maybe not at all, and 5 being, yes, I'm really proficient in that particular area. So this way you can either, hold up your fingers as whether you're a 1 or a 2, 3, 4, or 5. So what about in time management? How are you in using your time effectively so that it doesn't, just using it effectively? Or just write it down on a piece of paper for yourself. How are you in prospecting, meaning looking at and seeing things that maybe would be helpful or would not be helpful? How good are you at looking out and determining whether or not this is something you want to pursue? Personality-wise, how is your personality for either speaking up, whether it's something you want or don't want? And in communication, how are you communication-wise? Meaning, how well can you may speak up with what I do want this or I don't want that, but how well can you communicate to the people you're talking with as to why you are not all for that or why you are for that? So what about being objective? Whenever you are in conversation and there's other people that's the pro and the con, how objective can you be in working with someone that is seeing something way completely different from what you're seeing? And then what about making decisions? Do you make decisions that turn out to be oh no's? Or in the long run, how effective are you at decision making? That it has been something that is effective for you. And then what about self-development? How are you in the area of self-development on a scale of 1 to 5? Well, thank you very much. That is about self-evaluating, and we always need to continually self-evaluate because we're the only one that's going to be with us from birth to death. And it's how we live our life as we continually self-evaluate as to whether it is effective or ineffective, as to whether it is competent or incompetent. So I'm going to share the screen, and those of you that have been with me before know that it always takes a little bit of while for me to get it up and going, and especially on this computer now. And bring it up to date. Up to the okay. So what goals do for you and what they do in you. The thing of it is that all of us seek identity, meaning, and significance. That's kind of the motivator for it. And the mystery of goals is twofold. One is they work for you to align and to focus and to be strategically set. They also work in you to produce energy and passion, because sometimes we need that energy and passion, otherwise we just don't do it. So what is a goal? Well, here's a couple of definitions. One from Funk and Wagnall's dictionary, that it is something to which effort or movement is directed. It is an end with, it has an end objective, and also is the terminal point of a journey or a race. But then I have my definition of it. And I came up with this definition many, many years ago, that a goal is a worthwhile, predetermined destination toward which you are continually moving. And I think about that, whether or not changing it or not, but continually moving. And I find that although you meet one goal and it sounds like, oh, this is it, I've got it, but life is continually changing and we're continually moving, and there's always, and so it's getting something else that maybe whenever you graduate school and you graduate college, there's still something else that's out there because there's still more learning. There's more about life. And in writing the book, you finish it and you have it, but there's always something else. So it is a continual movement thing. So in looking at what will goals do for us and how does it work in us, one is that it enables us to think out of the box, to begin to look at that, the square peg will not fit into that round hole, but we can think out of the box because maybe that square peg is just perfectly in a larger area. Also, it lets you see the end product before it happens, to begin to see. In working with clients, I begin to say, can you see yourself? What is it you want to do? Well, I want to be this, I want to be a civil engineer. But can you see yourself doing that? As we can begin to see ourselves, even before we do it, then it has a better, more weight toward it actually coming about. And then it gives us a compass to guide us toward the completion of what is it we're working on at the particular moment and at that particular time. And it's a compass instead of a map. Now, if you look at a map, maybe this is where you are and this is where you want to go. And so you begin to look at exactly. But when you have a compass, you just simply look at it and it gives you a instant assessment of you're on the right track. You're going in the right direction. So as we have those goals and we look at them every day, or at least every other day that you look at what this goal is, it helps give you a compass to see if you're actually there or if you've drifted away. Goals help you to harness your energy and force you to concentrate. For years, the Niagara Falls flowed and came over Niagara Falls. And it wasn't until about, I don't know how many years ago, 80, 70, 80, 90, that river, that falls, that water, that stream, that magnificent power was harnessed in order to send electricity to many states. And that's what goals do for you. It helps you to harness your energy and forces you to concentrate. It also, goals give you the freedom to recognize opportunities and see the possibilities instead of the problems. It can help you to say yes more frequently or no more frequently, because once you have those goals and you know what is entailed and what is meaningful, it gives you the freedom to say, no, that's not in my overall purpose and meaning in life. Those help keep you excited and enthusiastic. It's kind of that staying power when things are mundane. I know in working on these little chats that we have every week, I make PowerPoints and it's kind of mundane, but those goals keep you excited and knowing that it will help you to be more able to communicate and to follow through whenever you work through those mundane things that are really important. Those also helps to build your confidence. It's like the little engine that could, well, I did it. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. I think I can keep doing something. Those are powerful tools in making decisions. And they promote effective study habits or good time management. They help you to see if you can, help you realize as to whether or not. So here is a quote from President Calvin Coolidge. And in this quote, he only put one press on, but I thought it was so effective that I added PO. So when I'm going to read this, and whenever we get to the end, just say it with me, press on. There can be no great success without great commitment. Press on. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Press on. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unrewarded talent. Press on. Education alone will not. The world is full of educated failures. Press on. Persistence alone is omnipotent. Press on. And so, very good encouragement from many years ago. So here's just some tools that can help you to hasten the accomplishment. And for the next 3 weeks, we're going to be looking more at goals, but here's some just kind of right up front ones. That use self-talk the way you use your own self-talk and your self-thinking is vital. Instead of I can't, well, what if I could? Will it be difficult? Well, it's not easy. If we can begin to look at things that will help us to see it more easily and to see it more toward reality. Because when you see it, you begin to believe it. Even though it may be real, real fuzzy, and you begin to have this appetite for it and this desire for it, that really helps you to believe that it becomes a reality. Also, to begin to write your own script, that maybe someone else did it this way, and that may have been wonderful, but maybe there's another way. Or maybe, write your own script in life. And then validate the power of relationship. It's realizing how that this relates to that. How does everything relate to something else? And not only does relationship relate to the people in our lives, whether it's friends or family or the people in the life, but also how do we relate to time? Because, the way you relate to time has a lot to do with accomplishing goals. How you relate to money has a lot to do with accomplishing goals, has a lot to do to living with freedom. So it's validating the power of relationship, whether it is mechanical, as in knowing how to use technology, and then also it employs the power of imagination. And realize that our imagination, everything is created twice, first in the mind and then in reality. And as we see it, we can begin to bring it into reality. And it speeds up. The process can be sped up through meditation. And that is just simply sitting and thinking and just getting all the garbage out of your mind so that you can begin to think fresh thoughts. So I always like to leave us with a challenge. And you can write your answers to these challenges in the chat box. Be willing to look foolish. Sometimes you might not want to do something because, well, what will everybody think? Well, it matters, but it can't be that paramount if it's really important to you. The challenge to learn to give and to receive a compliment or praise. Sometimes we can just pass it off. And this whole thing, maybe somebody says they like your hair and you don't, so you want to discount it. But learn to receive it, to receive everything, but attached to nothing. Know that you can live with unresolved conflicts. Sometimes when you get to goal setting, it's because things are a big mess. And sometimes we realize something's got to change here. And so it's beginning so that there are some unresolved conflicts that we can't go back and undo, but life is still going on and we can continue to live even in the midst of that conflict. It's knowing deep down inside, in knowing that no is not necessarily fatal. And I think of the NCAA and all the basketball playoffs, and our two favorites here in Waco, the Baylor men and the Baylor women, were both ousted out of the progression of the Final Four right up here at the very beginning. But you know what? A no is not fatal. And a no, we can overcome it as we have some goals and as we know who we are. And then a question here, and that is, what if rejection is, in fact, for your protection? Sometimes we think, oh, I didn't get that job. They don't like me. I'm not good enough. Maybe, just maybe, not getting that particular job was for your protection. And if we can begin to look at it in such a larger way, instead of being too myopic, then things begin to change. So I would appreciate hearing from you as to what may have been helpful about this session and what you gained from our time together, or write it in the chat box and I'll look at it later, and be sure and give me your email address so that we can communicate. what is one particular takeaway from this section that I would like for you to share? And I'm going to stop the sharing and ask if there's any one takeaway, that something that kind of shone some light on that you might want to share.
There was a lot of little things there, Mona, as you summarized through there, but I think it is, you need to step out and make your goals and then work towards them. I mean, that was the overall summary I would take from this.
Right. Keep them in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think being aware of your goals and being aware of your own perception of your goals is something that I took away.
Exactly. Exactly. As you can begin to see yourself growing into becoming the person that then produces that goal.
Mm-hmm. Right. Did Sue go away?
I'm right here.
You're right here. I just can't see you on my web.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am here. I am.
Okay, no problem. It's just my phone's set up differently than I normally am. Anyway.
I am here. Okay.
Oh, good.
Well, do you have anything you'd like to share?
I'm thinking.
Oh, still thinking. Okay.
I am.
I took my mask off. I'm in a public place waiting for my friend in a waiting room. So I'm unmasking and saying it was very helpful what you went through. I'm working on completing a book. And so trying to focus on that, trying to, that's my goal. And
So can you see yourself as a author in demand?
perhaps it's a World War II novel, and it's got a male protagonist. I know that men like to read about, male quote unquote heroes. So it's interesting. And then I can't reveal it, but I have a plot twist. So it's it determines. Yeah. Does he determine it, or is it self-determined and, somebody else? But anyway, it's a good read. So I'm hoping that people will pick up on it. I'm gonna see.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So it's fun. It's actually fun reading it over, correcting, errors and, changing things a little bit. So, yeah.
So do you have anything to contribute, Sue, before I turn off the recording?
I just like the idea of self-evaluating before your goal setting, which is really interesting. But again, you supplied us with the instances to self-evaluate with. So I wonder if we have goals and then we self-evaluate according to the goals, as opposed to self-evaluate and then make the goals from that self-evaluation.
Yeah, well,
It's kind of a chicken and egg question, but.
right, exactly, and kind of both and. Kind of both and. Okay, well, thank each of you for being here, and the lady that just came in, if you want to, I'm going to stop the recording. So I wish all of you good goals, and I'm going to stop the recording and good mental health.